I was 26 when I met Ryan. At the time, my life felt secure, predictable, almost too calm. I had just moved into a cozy apartment downtown, had a decent marketing job, and weekends were a rotation of grocery runs, laundry, and late-night takeout. Ryan had been in my life for 3 years then, steady, sweet, the kind of boyfriend you could trust with your spare key and your darkest secrets. We weren't exciting anymore, but we were comfortable. Safe. He knew how I took my coffee, the shows I rewatched when anxious, the small sigh I gave when work drained me. He was the kind of man who never missed an anniversary or forgot my mom's name. But somewhere along the way, we stopped talking about things that mattered. We stopped trying. I'd tell him about my day, and he'd nod while scrolling through his phone. Our silences weren't hostile, just blank. We weren't fighting. We were fading. Still, I wasn't unhappy, at least not enough to leave. We had plans. A future. I had a Pinterest board full of wedding dresses I never showed him, and sometimes I'd imagine him kneeling down in a park, ring in hand. I assumed love just mellowed with time, like tea left on the counter too long. Lukewarm, but still love. Then he got promoted and started traveling more. The first trip was 3 days. The next was a week. I told myself I liked the space. It gave me room to miss him. But after the second trip, I noticed I was quieter when he left. Not sad, not relieved. Just still. Like nothing really changed when he wasn't around. I started spending more time alone, but not the peaceful kind. It was that itchy kind of solitude that makes you scroll through old photos just to feel something. I watched shows we used to binge together and laughed out loud even when it wasn't funny, like I was trying to keep something alive. He'd call every night, tell me he missed me, and I'd smile through it saying me too, even though I wasn't sure it was true anymore. There was a moment, one I keep going back to. I was in bed, scrolling through photos from our trip to Seattle the year before. There was one of us by the harbor, arms around each other, grinning like idiots. I stared at it for a long time, wondering where that version of us had gone. Wondering if he missed it too, or if he just accepted that this was what long-term love became. The truth is, I hadn't thought about leaving. Not once. I believed that's what loyalty looked like, staying even when you were drifting. I wasn't looking for anything. But I also wasn't expecting what came next. It started with casual conversations. His name was Alex. He was part of the design team we collaborated with occasionally. We'd exchanged emails before, but never met in person until a Monday morning meeting when he filled in for someone else. He was sharp, a little sarcastic, and unexpectedly easy to talk to. Our first real conversation wasn't memorable, just small talk about the horrible coffee in the break room, but it lingered in my head for some reason. What stood out was how present he was. When he talked to you, he looked right at you, like you were the only thing in the room. I wasn't used to that anymore. Ryan listened, sure, but with Alex, it felt different. He asked follow-up questions, remembered the little things I mentioned. It caught me off guard how refreshing that felt. It wasn't attraction at first. It was comfort. Familiarity. He made jokes that disarmed me, the kind that made me laugh without effort. I started looking forward to meetings that included him. I told myself it was harmless. Just chemistry. Not the romantic kind, just that rare connection you find with people who feel like they've known you forever. Things shifted the day he opened up about his breakup. It had ended months ago, but he still seemed bruised. We sat in the office lounge, talking about relationships that start strong and die slowly. I found myself telling him things I hadn't even told my friends. I told him about how Ryan and I used to feel like a team, how now it just felt like we were coexisting. He didn't judge. He just listened. I knew then this wasn't nothing. I felt it in my stomach. That low buzz you get when something forbidden starts to feel possible. From that day, our conversations changed. Longer, deeper, filled with little undercurrents. He'd text me memes during meetings, ask how my day was really going. I'd find myself rereading our messages at night. The guilt wasn't loud yet. It was a soft hum in the background, like static. I wasn't doing anything wrong, I wasn't. We hadn't crossed any lines. But I also knew I was hiding this connection from Ryan. I didn't tell him about Alex. Didn't mention how often we talked. That silence said enough. One night, after working late, Alex offered to walk me to my car. It was raining lightly, and I remember the way his jacket smelled, clean, familiar, nothing fancy. We stood by my car longer than we needed to. Neither of us moved. Neither of us said it. But it was there, thick in the air between us. A moment that almost became something. I went home shaken. I lay in bed next to Ryan, staring at the ceiling, trying to remind myself who I was. But the truth was, I wanted more of that moment. I wanted to see Alex again. Hear his voice. I wasn't in control anymore. Something had shifted, and deep down, I already knew I wouldn't stop it. It happened on a Friday. We had wrapped up a late project, and were the last two in the office. There wasn't a plan. No lead-up. Just a moment where everything paused, and something inside me snapped. I kissed him first. It wasn't impulsive. It was something I had imagined more times than I'd admit. He kissed me back like he'd been waiting too, and just like that, a line I swore I'd never cross was gone. It wasn't just physical. It felt emotional, intense, like every ounce of boredom and numbness in my life had been temporarily replaced by adrenaline. I didn't think about Ryan. Not in that moment. I didn't think about what this meant, or who I'd become. It was only after, when I got home, that the weight hit me. Ryan was asleep. Peaceful, completely unaware. I watched him and felt like the worst person alive. I kept telling myself it was a one-time thing, a mistake. But it didn't stop. It got worse. It became a second life. Texts I'd delete, meetings I'd stretch just to see Alex, lies that rolled off my tongue like they were rehearsed. I stopped recognizing myself. I started checking my phone with paranoia. I hated how easily I could lie to someone who trusted me. But I also craved the way Alex made me feel, seen, wanted, awake. With Ryan, it was routine. With Alex, it was chaos, and somehow I preferred the mess. The guilt didn't stop me. It just changed me. I started compensating. I'd bring Ryan his favorite snacks, initiate date nights, laugh harder than I needed to at his jokes. I thought if I did enough good, it would cancel the bad. But it never did. Every time I saw Alex, the lie deepened. One afternoon, Ryan looked at me differently. Nothing dramatic, but his eyes lingered. He asked if everything was okay. I lied. Said I was just tired. He didn't push, but I knew he felt something. I started wondering if he was going to figure it out. The irony was I didn't feel happy with Alex either. I felt addicted. It wasn't love, it was an escape. A temporary world where I didn't feel invisible. But when I was with him, I also felt afraid. Every second together carried the risk of discovery, of everything collapsing. I started waking up with anxiety. I'd replay every conversation, check if I left clues. I became distant with friends, afraid they'd ask questions. The double life was swallowing me whole. I couldn't breathe in either world. There was no big confrontation. No dramatic catch. But I started noticing the silence in Ryan's voice, how he stopped asking about my day. Maybe he knew. Maybe he just stopped trying. Either way, something was breaking, and it was my fault. The affair wasn't a story, it was a spiral, and I was falling fast. It ended quietly. Not with a fight, not with a confession, just with distance. One day, Alex and I both knew it had run its course. We stopped texting first. Then we stopped meeting. There was no closure, just a shared understanding that we couldn't keep doing this. He didn't beg me to stay. I didn't ask him to explain. Maybe we both realized it was never meant to be anything real. Just a temporary escape from lives we didn't want to admit were hollow. After it ended, the silence was unbearable. I didn't feel relieved, I felt exposed. Everything I'd been avoiding came rushing back. Ryan was still there, still kind, still showing up. And I couldn't even look him in the eyes. I didn't confess. Not out of cowardice, but because I knew it wouldn't make it better. I didn't want his forgiveness. I didn't deserve it. I distanced myself emotionally. I tried to act normal, but he felt it. You can't fake presence. You can't fake warmth. And I knew he noticed. The way he didn't ask anymore. The way we sat in silence for longer stretches. The love was still there, buried under everything I had done to it, but it wasn't enough. Eventually, we drifted too far. He didn't accuse me. He didn't slam doors or throw words. He just grew quieter until one day he asked if I was happy. I didn't lie that time. I told him I didn't know. A few weeks later, he said he needed space. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I let him go because I knew I'd already left the relationship long before he did. The weeks after that were the hardest. Not because I missed Alex. I didn't. What I missed was who I used to be before the lies. I missed the version of myself that believed love could be enough. That trusted easily. That didn't second-guess every emotion. I lost her somewhere in the middle of pretending everything was fine. I didn't tell anyone the full story. Not friends, not family. It became a private chapter one filed away. People saw the breakup as a normal drift. No one asked questions, and I didn't offer answers. The guilt didn't fade, but it dulled with time, like a scar you don't notice unless you press on it. Looking back, I don't think I cheated because I stopped loving Ryan. I think I cheated because I stopped recognizing myself and mistook attention for affection. I was looking to feel something, anything, because the life I had built felt muted. I didn't want a different person. I wanted a different version of me. I've moved on since. I'm in a new relationship now, slower, quieter, more honest. But I carry that chapter with me. I never told him. Maybe one day I will. Maybe not. It's not something I'm proud of. But it's a part of me. A version of myself I had to meet to understand what love really means.